Here's what's coming up on your horizon. Well, over the next 10 years, over 60% of the new jobs in this country will be in careers related to science, technology, engineering, and math, commonly referred to as just STEM. Today, we'll examine opportunities in the STEM fields and look at work underway to guide students towards them. We begin with Miss America Nina Davuluri, a groundbreaking young woman who's traveling the nation talking to students about why she chose a STEM field to enter into.
There's so many more facets to STEM than just those that we normally think of.
Our Andy Barth heads to the state capitol to meet some young Oklahomans jump-starting their careers.
They're fabulous, and we have them from 7th grade up till seniors, and the kids are great.
We'll learn more about the future of STEM education in Oklahoma.
They're really exposed to pre-engineering, biomedical, and biosciences pathways to understand how they can be beneficial to the STEM.
And we'll end our day visiting a business incubator where STEM ideas become STEM jobs. Stay with us for Oklahoma Horizon.
Oklahoma Horizon is made possible by the Oklahoma Department of Career and Technology Education.
Oklahoma's investment in career tech provides more than nationally recognized technology education and training. It produces solid financial returns for the state's economic future. Oklahoma Career Tech, elevating our economy.
And the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry, helping good people grow good things. And now, from the Career Tech Studios in Stillwater, here's your host, Rob McClendon.
Hello everyone, thanks for joining us here on Horizon. Well, competing in the Miss America pageant is the stuff many little girls' dreams are made of. Since the pageant's beginnings, Oklahoma has captured 6 pageant crowns, tied for first place. Now this year, Miss Oklahoma came in second runner-up to Miss New York, Nina Davuluri, the first Indian American to ever win the crown. For Nina Davuluri, competing in Miss America was a dream come true.
New York!
A child of Indian American parents, Nina lived in Oklahoma while her father was a physician at the Carl Albert Indian Clinic near Ada. Growing up in middle America, but with a firm sense of her own heritage. Even performing a Bollywood dance number that wowed the crowd.
Miss America is
just one of the talents of this 24-year-old med student that helped her win the Miss America crown.
New York!
A joyous occasion that was marred by the hateful, racist tweets over her heritage.
It was really hard for me to find my identity because I didn't necessarily look like everyone around me. And I was
in the months since her crowning, Davuluri has crisscrossed the nation talking about the importance of cultural diversity.
Being involved in your schools and being a good student.
Encouraging young people to study in the STEM fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Won the title of Miss New York and Miss America.
Now, I had the opportunity to sit down with Miss Davuluri, where we talked about everything from attracting more students into the STEM fields to some of her own personal struggles she's faced. Nina, you spend much of your time here in Oklahoma talking with students about STEM, and that's part of your national platform for Miss America. Why did you choose that?
The Miss America organization has been promoting STEM education for 2 years now. And so I have the opportunity to work closely with the Department of Education, speak about STEM, specifically women in STEM, and travel across the country through various high schools, middle schools, colleges, and organizations to promote that.
Now, females now receive more higher degrees than males do, but when you look at the STEM fields, those numbers aren't that way. You know, you've met with these young girls today that are so excited about science and math. What happens between that time and when they become young ladies?
You know, I think it's hard because we often can't think outside of the box of what STEM career-related fields are. I think we think, oh, computer programmer, engineer, doctor, but there's so many more facets to STEM than just those that we normally think of. And so one of the messages I really like to send is that one of my friends went to graphic design school and now works for Whirlpool designing small kitchen appliances. That's something I would have never guessed that he would be able to do with a STEM field. As Miss America, we have a cosmetic sponsor, and I was able to go into the lab and create my own lip gloss with another woman who worked there. And that's a STEM-related field too. So people I think it's important for high schools and colleges and universities to make aware of what other career paths are available through STEM.
Yeah, and it's really not a one-size-fits-all. There's a lot of different type of jobs. You don't necessarily have to have a PhD in something to be involved in the STEM fields.
Absolutely.
You are a second-generation American. Both your parents immigrated here from India, yet you have traveled back to India to meet with family.
I have.
In your experience, how are young people in India, how do they approach education versus your friends here in the States?
You know, for me in my household, education was pushed ever since I can remember. It was something that we had to excel in. I mean, if I got a 96, it was, why not the 100? And that it was that constant, you have to be better, you have to be the best. Education is the key to success. And my parents will always say, my father will always say, I could not have survived in this country and provided the life that I was able to for my family if I did not have my education. And that's something that really resonated with me. And I think the largest problem with my generation, myself included, of course I'm included in it, in America, is that we have so much apathy for what is going on around in the world around us. From a young age, we were handed so much, we were given so much, and to have that mentality, that attitude to go out and seek something and work hard for something is very different than just sitting back and thinking, oh, well, it's just going to be handed to me, it's just going to be given to me. And I think that's the biggest difference between my generation and my parents' generation, because they've understood that value of hard work.
From early on in life, you've studied all types of dance, from tap to jazz.
I have.
But it was a Bollywood dance that you performed in the Miss America pageant, in spite of some people recommending that you not do that type of dance. Why did you choose that?
It was a huge part of who I was. My mom's side of the family is still in India, and we would go back every year, my sister and I, and we would learn this talent. I was classically trained in Bharatanatyam. And so for me, there was no question that if I was going to win Miss America, I had to do it in my own way and in my terms. And for me, Bollywood was who I was. It was a large part of my culture, my heritage. And to share something like that for the first time on a stage like Miss America was really my moment, and winning Miss America was simply icing on the cake, I say sometimes, because now that's really introducing a new demographic to this organization, and really encouraging young women to be proud of where they come from, who they are, and share that with others.
Unfortunately, when you did win Miss America, there were some xenophobic comments out in social media and that were just truly racist. Were you surprised by that? Were you taken aback by that?
You know, I wasn't, and that's because I had very similar remarks when I won the title of Miss New York. And when I won Miss New York, I was taken aback by it. I read my Twitter feed, I keep up with my social media, and when that happened, it was just, to me, was intolerable. These were educated people saying remarks like this. And I remember sitting down with my mom and sister thinking, goodness, why is this happening? And I've always viewed myself as first and foremost American. And hindsight really is 20/20, because if that hadn't happened when I won Miss New York, I don't think I would have been ready or prepared or handled what happened when I won Miss America in the way that I did. And it's really just goes to show how timely and how relevant my platform is. You know, I didn't decide to just promote diversity through cultural competency when I won Miss America. It's something that I've been working very closely with for 3 years now. And so it's really given me a microphone to really talk about all these issues related to it and create a positive discussion.
And what are some of those issues that you share with audiences?
Well, you know, the thing that I've realized is that I started one of my own programs and organizations called Calling All Cultures, and I partnered with the YWCA, and their mission is eliminating racism, empowering women, which went hand in hand with what I was trying to do. And it's really not about opening a discussion about race, because that hasn't necessarily proven to be effective. I think what's really more effective is engaging children with hands-on activities. And we did different activities, whether simple things, you know, trying a different cuisine, learning a different instrument, talent, dance, language, whatever it may be, opposed to just having them sit in a lecture. It's really nice for them to be engaged and touch things and feel things, and that's what really helps break those stereotypes and get them excited.
Reading your bio today, by all accounts, you're a very motivated young lady. Yet you have struggled in your personal life with an eating disorder.
Absolutely.
Are those in any way related, the motivation there? Because I've known so many people in my own life that have struggled with eating disorders, and they are very motivated people.
I am very type A, and I think it was also very cultural for me in the sense that my parents really didn't necessarily understand what I was going through. And that's not to say that eating disorders don't exist in India, because they certainly do. But I think mental health globally has a stigma surrounding it that I certainly hope dissipates while more people are talking about it. And so for me, my dad was more understanding because he was a physician. My mom, to this day, will sometimes still say, "Why have you chosen to speak about this? It's such a personal issue." And when I have young girls who have come up to me and say, "Thank you for sharing your story, because it's something that I'm going through," or "Now I feel comfortable to be able to ask for help," it's why I share my story. And more than anything, I've learned to stay balanced. Especially since I am type A, I am motivated. It's important to stay balanced, not only physically, but mentally, socially, emotionally, and spiritually as well.
Well, I do commend you for that. A final question. What's next for Nina Davuluri?
Well, I won $60,000 in scholarship money, and I will be putting that towards my graduate degree, but I won't be able to start until the fall of 2015. So I kind of have a year window to play with, but right now I'm thinking about getting my MBA as well as my MD degree, so we'll see what happens.
All right. Wish you all the luck.
Thank you so much.
You're watching Oklahoma Horizon, featuring some of the good things that are happening in the great state of Oklahoma.
Well, within the next decade, 8 out of every 10 of the highest paying positions in the United States will be in the STEM field, a fact that's not lost on state leaders. Joining me now is our Andy Barr.
Well, Rob, students from around the state visited the state capitol to promote STEM education, but there wasn't a boring math lecture or dreary science project in sight. For these students, STEM education is both exciting and fun.
Robots aren't typically seen at the state capitol, but when it comes to STEM Day, it's a welcoming sight.
STEM really is putting practical application to what they're learning: science, technology, engineering, math.
Representative Gus Blackwell is a proponent of STEM and was one of several lawmakers interacting with students.
It really gives them hands-on experience. It also, I think, begins to stimulate their learning and give them a desire to learn more.
A desire that helps teachers like Robin Coleman make mundane bookwork seem exciting.
Getting kids motivated in a classroom setting is difficult. I mean, textbooks and definitions of words that they've never heard before. The basics is very important, but seeing that there's a more exciting application of the basics is essential.
And for student Skylar Shigoda, applying classwork to a robot is right up his alley.
I like to build stuff and kind of work with tools, and this was just a really good way to do that. Plus, it's a lot of fun.
Yet, robots weren't the only thing showcased at the Capitol.
Your ventricles?
Our labs, which are basically focused on medical things like the heart and cholesterol in the brain and things like that.
Not bad for us.
Charles Spells is a student in Western Tech Center's Biomedical Academy and says today's students are tomorrow's scientists.
We're going to need scientists to be able to find these different medicines and different innovations that our youth today are actually going to be the ones doing that in the future. So that's one thing that I want to go into the future and do.
In 2008, there were 3.4 million computer and math scientist jobs in the U.S. That number is expected to grow to 4.2 million in the coming years. And when it comes to engineering, more than 500,000 jobs are predicted to be added to the workforce. And with the diversity of STEM widening, future employees have a lot to choose from biomed and chemistry to software developers and data administrators.
What is the future of jobs and the economy? It's science and technology, pure and simple. To leapfrog into using technology, computers, robotics, just all those things that are on the cutting edge of technology. And also I think it's something that, quite frankly, interests them. I mean, they're just fascinated with it.
And while the students may be fascinated with STEM, Coleman says she's fascinated by her students.
They're fabulous. And we have them from 7th grade up till seniors, and the kids are great.
Altogether, 16 groups attended STEM Day at the Capitol. From robotics to biomedical programs, lawmakers were able to see the impact STEM plays in the lives of tomorrow's workforce.
Now, you showed us the robots and we met the students studying in the medical field. What other subject matters are they working on in STEM?
Rob, it's a very diverse group of students. One group designed a wheelchair that helps patients get in and out of the wheelchair, and they're actually working on patenting that product. Other students work on cybersecurity and computer coding, and we have to remember, all of these students are still in high school.
Certainly a diverse group of successful young people. Thanks so much, Andy.
You're welcome, Rob.
Still to come on Oklahoma Horizon, a business incubator startup. But first, jump-starting careers.
Science, technology, engineering, and math are all fields that currently do not produce enough employees to fill current job demand. A demand that goes beyond just the needs of industry. Our guest today is working to help guide Oklahoma students into the classes that will help them enter into the STEM fields. Saeed Sarani joins me now in studio. So what is the outlook for STEM jobs here in Oklahoma, and I guess what does that mean for today's students?
So outlook, Rob, it looks really good. We've been very aggressive. We've been really understanding needs and challenges, and we have aligned to the challenges. But really the difficulty we as a state really kind of feeling it like many other, the rest of the 49 states, is our demand, the demand of the industry and the production of the workforce to make that demand is not aligned yet. We have our work cut up for us to make sure, because they're growing by tenfold. They need the workforces, retirement age is coming, they need more people to come to the workforce. We're not producing enough STEM experts to be able to meet their needs.
Now, Saeed, we often talk about pathways, getting from education to jobs. How are we doing here in the state of getting those students into the STEM fields?
Actually, I think we have consciously created a very practical pathway to expose our students on early stages to understand what STEM needs are and how to get there. The pathway we're talking about is first start from really at the early grade level, to really expose our elementary students to say really what STEM stands for. What are the opportunities out there for you? What are the stuff you need to look into it, even creating, problem solving, critical thinking. Through that pathway, when our elementary students get exposed and they come to the middle school level, we have many nationally known pathways in place presently that really help the student to understand that I have an option to kind of look at the STEM in the practical point of view. So they actually have the pathway like gateway to technology. They really have the opportunity to be able to look at the different module and work either through the engineering module, creation, flight simulation, and many other ones to really expose themselves. We do not stop there. We do not stop there, and we go further. When our students come to career technology or the different area, they're really exposed to pre-engineering, biomedical, and biosciences pathways to understand how they can be beneficial to this thing. So if you look at it as a whole, Rob, we really have many pathways in place to help our students from K-12 to understand what the STEM is, how they can align their knowledge and their future for the area and their interest in that sense. We truly believe more information available to our future workforce they can make better decisions. I know you have heard about data-driven decision making based on the facts. To the student, those facts dictate not in the statistical format, in the practicality format, in a sense of, it's not far-fetched for me to become a doctor. It's not out of question I become engineering or biosciences or work for the aerospace. And to really make that kind of opportunity for our student, for our future workforce, is truly a guiding way for us to really helping students to understand STEM.
So what will that workforce look like, and what will our education look like in the next 10 years?
Great question. Those are the so many unknown, and you know that as a workforce, we know for sure there are jobs and jobs that has not been yet created, and there are workforces out there that we don't know how to prepare for. That is a reality of the fact. Right now, we are really on the mentality, certain engineering courses, certain medical courses, certain different area is very important to become a doctor, become architect. But our future going to have unknown jobs and unknown expertise going to need. One thing we understand very clearly, if our students have very strong analytical ability, they have strong process skill and great communication, critical thinking and problem solving, they'll be very successful regardless what job going to be down the pipe.
Well, Saeed, I certainly appreciate you stopping by and visiting with us about this exciting field.
Oh, my pleasure.
Now, to see more stories on STEM, just head to our website at okhorizon.com and look under our value-added section. Want to share something you've seen here today? Well, all of our episodes are streaming on our YouTube channel at Oklahoma Horizon TV, or you can subscribe to our weekly free podcasts on iTunes. Well, when it comes to education and jobs, our next segment is where the proverbial rubber meets the road. Take an innovative idea, some hard work and some investment, and let it develop within a nurturing environment, and you can often create a successful business. With more, here's our Keela Kellen.
Growing a business from an idea to reality can often be a long and difficult process, as more than 50% of small businesses fail within the first 5 years. But with help from a business incubator, that success rate jumps dramatically.
Meridian Technology's Center for Business Development is a business incubator, helping to grow businesses for the state.
We take small young companies and help them to grow to become stronger young companies so that they're more likely to succeed during those real critical first 5 or so years of their existence.
Ron Duggins is the director for the center.
Some examples of companies that we have in the building currently are Explosive, and this company has developed an explosive detection technology that would detect certain kinds of explosives, such as the one that the shoe bomber used. But they've also got a secondary product that will help neutralize certain kinds of chemicals in the lab to avoid accidental explosions in lab chemicals that have set dormant or set within the lab for a certain time. So they have both a lab safety aspect as well as a homeland security aspect. And they're currently in production and selling their product.
Shoaib Sheikh is the co-owner of the business, where they also make high-tech insulation for shipping containers.
The feedback we got from NASA was the material is excellent, but we recommend you try and apply it to different industries. So from that came this much sturdier, thicker panel that can be applied for shipping goods, and that's where the boxes came from. So we made the panels. Once we made the panels, we did the testing, and then now we're applying it to collapsible boxes and molded boxes. On this box is 96 hours for shipping.
Their initial focus is to ship high-value products such as vaccines or blood that oftentimes will spoil in other kinds of shipping containers. So their new container is much lighter than traditional containers, like the foam containers that you get that are 3 or 4 inches thick. Their container is no more than 1/4 to 1/2 inch thick. It retains the coolness for much longer, and hopefully will provide better value for the companies that are shipping these valuable products.
A better way to ship and keep products safe. Saraman Kumar is the co-founder of the company.
There was a demand to create thin, lightweight insulations, and the market did not have any solution that could offer both structural rigidity and also an insulation material. This started off as a student startup venture. 3 PhD students in our part-time, we put the material together. We did some proposals, and then now we are here running a business.
Thanks in great part to the help of Meridian's Business Incubator.
And they rent space from us, so they do pay for rent. And with that rent come all the different services, coaching, consulting, and the biggest service we provide really is our network of contacts. So my role is to connect all of my companies with any resource they need. If they need specialty insurance, if they need intellectual property, help from an attorney, accounting help, then my job is certainly to tie them to those resources so that they can be more successful.
I appreciate that. No problem.
There are approximately 40 of these business incubators located throughout the state that are all eager to work with up-and-coming businesses. For more information, visit the Oklahoma Department of Commerce at okcommerce.gov.
You can keep up with us throughout the week. Just head to okhorizon.com where you can see more of any of our stories, read our reporters' behind-the-scenes blogs, see what others are saying about us on Twitter, and face the facts with our regular updates. So reach out and touch us anywhere and anytime. Next time on Oklahoma Horizon, we follow one of Oklahoma's more iconic student organizations and see how the once future farmers of America are that and so much more.
Less than 2% of the population feeds the population. That's a pretty small percentage. And lots of people don't know where that stuff comes from. And so it's absolutely, I think it's necessary in a child's life to know where things come from.
The FFA on Oklahoma Show for the Heartland, Oklahoma Horizon. Well, we are out of time. I'm Rob McClendon. Thanks for watching. See you back here next week.
Thank you for watching Oklahoma Horizon.